What's up guys, and welcome to the channel. It's Ioana here, founder and CEO of Supwell, where we help runners chase their goals. And today I wanted to do an overview of the newest Hoka to hit the market. That's the Cielo Road. It's in an extremely competitive and growing category of shoes, the 5K racers. So we'll dive deep into the shoe, the market, and I'll let you know where this might slot in amongst those competitors and how you can use it in your lineup. Let's get into it. First, I want to do a bit of background on Hoka over the past year or so and where the shoe slots into the Hoka lineup. Hoka has been on a tear recently. I saw this statistic in the Wall Street Journal. Their sales are up 40% year over year, and everywhere I look it seems that I'm seeing a Hoka on someone's foot. Going to the beach, you see a Hoka. Going to a restaurant, you see a Hoka. Going to the city, you see a Hoka. I've walked into specialty running stores, their whole back wall, there's no Brooks, there's no Nike, there's no Adidas, it's just Hoka and On. They are really dominating. While they found a place in the market as that mainstream athletic shoe where Nike really used to dominate, they struggled a bit at the same time in that performance running segment. But we've seen in the past year, they redeveloped that compression molded EVA that worked for so long so well in that Clifton, and in the Clifton 9 we see it become a bit airier and softer. They've also launched some really great competitive shoes for the road for runners like us who are into getting the best performance. Hoka Rocket X2, for example, earlier this year, an absolute banger of a shoe that's competing with the likes of the Adidas Adios Pro 3 and the Nike Vaporfly Next% 3. There's also the Hoka Mach X that came out recently. It's really redefining what that super trainer category is, along with shoes like the Adidas Boston 12 and the Saucony Convara Pro. So with this Cielo Road, I see it as the third shoe to complete the triumvirate of Hoka's return to the main stage of performance running. For a long time, they didn't have a PEBA, and now they're dropping shoes left and right with that PEBA midsole. Rocket X2 comes first. We're gonna return to the podium on the race day. Mach X comes next. We wanna give you a good training option. And then the Cielo Road comes as that minimal racer or the track day option. Hoka is really back in the conversation as one of those top tier running brands. Saucony and Asics had 2022. Hoka is making a push for the crown in 2023. So with that, let's dive a little bit into the specs of the Hoka Cielo Road. The Hoka Cielo Road is a non-plated PEBA-based shoe that's designed for 5K races. So the other shoes in this category that the Cielo Road is going to be competing with include the Nike Streakfly, the Saucony Sinister, and the Adidas Takumi Sen. This is a growing category of shoes that takes that super shoe formula that we see where there's 40mm stack of that super foam in the carbon fiber plate and switches it up a little bit. In this 5K and 10K racing segment, we see lower stack height, so it's in that 30 to 33mm range, and some of these shoes ditch the plates altogether, while others have either midfoot shanks or other kinds of tech that aren't as intrusive. It comes in at 7.1 ounces, which is a bit heavier than some others in the segment like the Streakfly, which comes in at 6 ounces, but a lot lighter than a daily trainer. For example, the Clifton is at 8.7 ounces. The upper on the Cielo Road looks to be super comfortable, lightweight, and airy, and there is a solid tread on the bottom to help with durability. Now, if we take a look at the other shoes in this category, the Nike Streakfly and the Adidas Takumi Sen. The Streakfly is using ZoomX foam, which is also a PEBA compound, and it has a midfoot shank for some support and rigidity. The Streakfly is coming in at 6.0 ounces, so it's a full ounce lighter than the Cielo Road. The Streakfly is going to feel a bit less cushion in that forefoot because it has a 6mm drop, so 32 in the heel and 26 in the forefoot, whereas the Cielo Road has a 3mm drop with 33 in the heel and 30 in the forefoot. Now, if we take a look at the Takumi Sen, this is using Adidas's Light Strike Pro foam, which is a supercritical TPE compound. It's the same foam that's going to be in the Adios Pro 3, just like the Streakfly is using that ZoomX, which is the same foam that's in the Vaporfly and the Alpha Fly. So in the Takumi Sen, we have a 33mm stack in that heel, which is the same stack as that Hoka, but there's a 27mm stack in the forefoot. So it's gonna feel a bit more aggressive, a bit more angled when you put it on because of that higher drop, but I've got to say it does feel pretty flat on the foot. So on paper there's a higher drop, but it doesn't feel that different when you put it on your foot. The Adidas Takumi Set 9 also has those energy rods to provide some rigidity and pop through the platform. While a lot of other brands are using plates, Adidas goes with the rods to provide more flexion throughout the platform. So you can imagine when you're turning and cornering, you'll see that the platform is going to be able to be a bit more adaptable to your stride. In the Cielo Road, we see no plates, we see no midfoot shank, we see no elements to provide stability. Now, because the stack isn't crazy, it doesn't feel too unstable without having a plate. There are other shoes that do this non-plated PEBA setup, and there's one that comes to mind specifically, that's the Topo Athletic Cyclone 2. I think that's gonna be a pretty close comparison for the Hoka Cielo Road. And in my own lineup, I'll likely use the Cielo Road for those Tuesday track days. I don't think I'm gonna race with it, and that's where the biggest question comes in for this segment. So if I'm looking at my own rotation, I currently have the Adidas Takumi Sen, and I also have super shoes like the Nike Vaporfly and the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3. Now, if you're watching this channel, you are likely like me. You are not a professional runner, but you love the sport of running, and you love training hard, and you love racing at your best. And what I do when it's race day, I'm gonna pull for that Vaporfly, or I'm gonna pull for that Saucony Endorphin Pro 3. I've had the Takumi Sen in my collection, and I've raced shorter distance races, and I haven't been pulling it just because I want the most cushion and that carbon fiber plate, which I know is gonna help me pop off toward the end of those races, even shorter races like 10Ks or 5Ks when I'm tired, when I'm feeling fatigued. Now, I did run a half marathon actually in the Takumi Sen just to try it, just to see what would happen to run with a bit less cushion, try to see if I could be more efficient with the lower weight. And I just felt like I was missing some of that cushion. You know, brands have designed these shoes to help support us as we get into the end sections of those races. I think it's gonna be a tough sell for a lot of us runners to go down market from using something like the Vaporfly to something like the Streakfly or the Hoka Cielo Road. So I'm curious to know, for your next race, what kind of a shoe are you going to be pulling for? If it's a 5K or a 10K, are you willing to try a Streakfly or a Cielo Road, or are you going to be going for that Hoka Rocket X2 or that Nike Vaporfly? As always, thank you for watching, like and subscribe, and I'll make sure to keep you up to date on the latest and greatest in the world of performance running.